to my morning commute, guys. And yes, it does start quite a bit early in the morning every single day. It actually used to be pitch black outside, however daylight savings time ended, so now it is a bit brighter outside in the morning, but that means that obviously at the end of work, at the end of the day, it's going to get darker quicker. So I don't necessarily know if it's a good thing, but it is what it is.
Greetings guys, and thank you for tuning in. If you are new to the channel, a special welcome to you. At my disposal, I have three vehicles: a Mazda CX-5, a Mazda 3, and my 350Z. Now my Mazda CX-5 is technically my wife's car, not my car, so she drives the CX-5. I drive the Mazda 3 as my daily, and the 350Z is my quote-unquote fun car. However, recently my wife did get in an accident with the CX-5, so the CX-5 has actually been gone for a little while. With the way things are at the moment in the economy, it's been a slow process getting it fixed, so the Mazda 3 hatchback went to my wife as her car to use, and I have been forced to daily drive the 350Z for the last whole month. When I say that I have been forced to daily drive the 350Z, that's not necessarily a bad thing. However, here is my experience with daily driving my 350Z. How convenient or inconvenient it might be to actually daily drive a 350Z may actually depend on the 350Z. If the 350Z is fairly stock, then it might not necessarily be a bad thing. If your 350Z is a full blown out race car, then it might be a little bit difficult. Now mine is modified, however not heavily modified, so it can obviously be daily driven. If you're interested in the particular modifications that have been done to my 350Z, just search the channel. There is a video going over the current modifications of the car. Commuting with the 350Z may or may not be that bad depending on your commute. Now my commute in particular is I would consider a decent commute. It takes me, well, in the morning hours the traffic isn't as bad, so it usually takes me anywhere between 30 to 40 minutes to get to work. The way home from work, which is usually a lot more traffic, can take me anywhere from 40 minutes to an hour as the average.
Because I leave so early in the morning, traffic in the morning is usually not that bad. However, traffic on the way back from work can sometimes be a problem. Not only is it getting darker sooner now, but on the commute home we're now dealing with obviously a higher amount of traffic. So we're going 20 miles an hour at the moment.
And when you are commuting with the 350Z, it's also not necessarily just the miles that you're going to be commuting, but the type of commute. Because obviously if you're going to be commuting in a heavy traffic setting where driving a manual transmission car, assuming your 350Z is manual such as mine, eventually might become a little cumbersome or a little annoying. And obviously those would be situations where driving an automatic in heavy traffic might be a little bit easier. In my particular 350Z, as I mentioned, it is manual, so my commute in heavy traffic with the 350Z is obviously a lot different than when I am commuting with my Mazda 3. Additionally, as previously mentioned, I do have some modifications done, which do make certain situations just a little bit more different. This past month that I've been daily driving my car, I have bottomed out once. And usually I'm pretty good with those sorts of things, and I don't like scraping anything underneath the car, but the car is lowered, so sometimes that happens. Now also, am I going to be physically able to actually commute with my 350Z all year round if I had to? Luckily, I don't have to, but if I had to, I don't know that I would be able to do it, particularly because of one of the reasons I just mentioned, the car being lowered. And I do live here in Pennsylvania, where we do get some decent winters, and in some of the brutal snowstorms that we get, there's just physically no possible way for me to actually do that with the car. It wouldn't be safe, and I would not do it, nor would I really want to, even if we didn't have snow, drive the car in bad weather, as obviously the underside of the car is going to get rusted and corroded.
And then of course there's the joys of commuting in bad weather.
So with all that daily driving and commuting, everyone's going to want to know what are the costs associated with daily driving your 350Z. So first and foremost, let's talk about the cost of actual fuel.
All right, let's see what the costs of fuel are like today. $40.99 for Premium 93. $53 later.
When talking about the cost of fuel, it's obviously going to depend on your particular commute. Now, for my situation, I basically have to fill up every single week. So with my 350Z, when I use it as a daily driver, such as what I have done in the past month, I have been spending basically around $200 to $250 per month on just fuel cost. Another way of taking a look at this calculation is not necessarily my particular situation, but what is the average mileage that somebody actually drives here in the United States? Well, depends on what state you're looking at, but the national average of yearly miles put on a vehicle is anywhere between 12,000 and 15,000. Now let's say we go somewhere in the middle. So let's say that we're going to drive 13,000 miles in a Z every year. Well, let's talk about miles per gallon. So the 350Z is actually not terrible in terms of miles per gallon. I actually get about 22.7 miles per gallon average. So for the sake of mathematics, let's round that to 23 miles per gallon. So if we say that we drive 13,000 miles in a year, divided by 23 miles per gallon equals 565 gallons of fuel that we would need for the year. Now, multiply that times the cost of gas, which has significantly increased because of inflation at the moment, snapshot in time, fall of 2021. So 565 gallons times, let's say $4 per gallon average is $2,260 annual cost of just fuel alone. Now, apart from fuel costs, what about maintenance cost? Well, I gotta tell you, at least in my opinion, one of the reasons that I love the 350Z is because of the convenience and the costs associated with maintenance. The 350Z has a plethora of aftermarket parts available, and the costs associated are phenomenal in terms of its comparison to some other vehicles, brands, models, and so forth. So depending on your particular proficiency with working on vehicles, you might find that the 350Z is going to give you a thumbs up, or rather you're going to give it a thumbs up in terms of the maintenance costs associated with it. In my particular situation, the biggest reason why I wouldn't be able to drive my 350Z year-round would be the seasons. So again, here in Pennsylvania, during the winter, I would not be putting the 350Z through such abuse. This is a car rather, that for me, I plan on keeping for a very, very long period of time. So obviously, I would have to do anything that I can to preserve it. And as I mentioned, it just physically would not be possible for me to actually drive it in some of the snowstorms that we get. In fact, my previous Z that I had, which was a Z32, one of the reasons that I had to get rid of it, or rather the biggest reason I had to get rid of it, was because it did not work for me at the time as a commuter car. I had it during my college years, and obviously there's not a lot of space in the car in terms of commuting back and forth from college. Also the cost of the commuting and the fuel at the time, which I didn't have any money because I was in college. I wasn't obviously able to keep up with it, so that was the biggest reason why I had to get rid of my first Z. Now, also depending on where you are in terms of your walk in life, is it going to be convenient for you to daily drive a 350Z? Maybe it depends on what type of responsibilities you have. So let's say, for example, I have to pick up my kids from soccer practice, or I have to do something of that nature, then obviously that would be a day where I would not be able to actually keep my 350Z as my daily. I am married and I have 2 children. However, if that is not something that you necessarily have to worry about, or you don't have to worry about it in terms of your particular commute, then are you going to be able to commute with your 350Z? Yeah, absolutely you can, especially if you live in an environment where you'll be able to do that year-round. And how fun of a commute would that be? It would be an extremely fun commute, because let's face it, the reason you own a 350Z or interested in getting a 350Z is because they are a blast to drive. These cars are just a perfect mix of stability, of comfort, and when you want to have some fun with them, to be able to put that pedal to the metal and actually do some spirited driving. So in conclusion, should you be daily driving a 350Z? Well, in essence, the answer depends. It all depends on where you live. It all depends on your particular situation slash scenario slash walk of life. So the answer depends. Now, for me, my wife's car is finally fixed, so I do get to go back to daily driving my Mazda 3. And part of me is going to be a little bit sad about not driving my 350Z every single day, because it has honestly been quite fun. It's been making my day, particularly after work, especially after having a hard day of work, to be able to get in the Z and knowing that it's going to put a smile on my face driving it has been very nice. However, we are approaching winter here in Pennsylvania, so it is getting cold outside. The weather is starting to get bad, so another part of me is looking forward to getting back in my regular daily with my Mazda 3 hatchback. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed some of the information in this video, and as always, if you have any questions for me or anything at all, just drop a line down below and I'll be sure to get back to you, and I'll see you soon.
The other thing you have to watch out for, at least here in Pennsylvania on these back roads, are deer. There are a lot of deer here in Pennsylvania. Finally home from work.
Wait, what? It's night out already?
It's in Tundra Town!
Way to hustle, bud. I love you. I owe you.
Hurry! We gotta beat the rush hour in. It's night?